Alright guys, today we have a math lesson. It's standard 5 NFB4. It states, I can use what I know about multiplication to multiply fractions or whole numbers by a fraction. It's a lesson for today. So I'm going to start out by connecting what you know about multiplication. We already know. So I know here that this means 5 groups of 4 makes something, makes some amount. Well, I have my groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of those. I have 5 groups of 4 each. So I simply have to count those and find out what the total is. So I can count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, or I can count them individually. But the answer would be 20. Okay? So 5 times 4 is 20. That makes sense. So now we're going to connect that to fractions now. This little star means we're going to be doing this problem. This is the problem we're going to focus on here. So we have 5 times 1/4 now equals something. Same thing, 5 groups of 1/4 makes some answer. So I have my fourths now. These are fourths, 1 out of 4 pieces. And I have 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I simply have to count them to find out, just like I counted up here. Let's go ahead and count them. So just go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The answer would be I have 5, but 5 whats? Well, they were all fourths. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But these are all fourths. They're not individual numbers or whole numbers. So that would be 5 fourths is my answer. Okay, so that makes sense. Well, next part of our lesson is going to be moving on to changing whole numbers into improper fractions, because that'll help us do our next step in the problem for doing this kind of math. So if I want to make sure you understand that 5 really means 5 over 1, improper fraction, because this bottom number here always tells us how many parts we have divided into. So we have whole numbers just sitting there, whole groups, they're all shaded in. Up here we had fourths, so there were 4 pieces for each one. But here we have just groups of 1 whole group. So 1 whole group, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 really means the improper fraction of 5 over 1. All right, so that will help us on our next step of this process. Let's go back to our target problem, our starred problem. We still had 5 times 1/4. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's still 5. Okay, we're back. I took a call from my brother Jose. He's doing well, in case you're wondering. All right, so we ended up with 5 over 4 for our original starred problem. 5 times 1/4 is 5 fourths. And taking what we learned over here, from here, we can change this 5 into 5 over 1. Same as that, same as this here. So now we have the problem 5 times 1, which is 5 on the top. 1 times 4 is 4 on the bottom. You can see we get the same answer as that. So with your pictures, 5 over 4. Without the pictures, 5 over 4. Now, you've been getting the same answer over and over. You got it this time also. But for some of us, it bothers us that we have the 5 on the top and 4 on the bottom. That's kind of looks a little weird. It actually has a name called improper. Improper fractions are bigger on the top than the bottom. So we can take a look at this improper fraction here for our last step here, 5 over 4. That really means 4 over 4 plus 1 over 4. So 4 fourths plus 1/4 still makes 5 fourths. And most of us know when we get a fraction like that, 4 out of 4 is 1 whole group, 1 whole number, 1 whole. So this really means we have 1 whole plus this fourth. Go ahead and get rid of this. Switch it over to 1 whole number. We really have 1 whole number and then the 1/4. So our answer of, we got up here of 5/4 also is 1 and 1/4. So our original starred problem, which 5 times 1/4 is 5/4, also equals 1 and 1/4. And most people like this answer better. It feels more natural than this. This is completely okay, nothing wrong with it. But if you can, it's called simplifying, you end up with the answer of 1 and 1/4. Again, both answers are perfectly fine, but most people will be more comfortable with an answer like that instead of having an improper fraction. So, taking what we've had, let's go ahead and review real quick. Our original problem, 5 times 1/4. I would make this into 5/1. I'd still multiply the 1/4. I would get 5/4 is my answer. Then I would simplify that. This is really 4/4 plus 1/4. I get 1 and 1/4 is my final answer. So 5/4 and 1/4, the same amount. So if all that makes sense to you, I want you to go ahead and try this problem here. This is your problem. Go ahead and pause this tape and go ahead and do 5 times 1/3. Do it any way you want to, pictures, not pictures, whatever you want to, and then I'll come back with the answer in just a sec. Okay, so we're back. Hopefully you had no trouble with this problem. I'm going to go ahead and do it the same way. I'm going to go ahead and do 5/1, and I'm going to times the 1/3. And going sideways on the top, I have 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. I have an improper fraction. Go ahead and simplify that as 3/3 plus 2/3. This still makes 5/3, but now I know that this here is a 1. So my answer would be 1 and 2/3. So my final answer would be 5/3 and also 1 and 2/3. Hopefully you got the same answer. We'll be back in a sec with another lesson. Okay, so for this problem we have 13 whole numbers times 1/5. I'm going to make this into an improper fraction, 13/1 times 1/5. Pretty easy, 13 times 1 is 13, and then 1 times 5 is 5. That's our answer, improper fraction. If you want to simplify that, you'll simply go 13/5 is the same as 5/5 plus 5/5 plus 3/5. This is what the reason why is because we have 5 and 5 is 10. And then 10 plus 3 more is 13. We still have the same exact amount. It's just been separated out into different groups of fractions. Well, now we can see that that really is 1, another 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 whole numbers. So 2 whole numbers and 3/5, and 3/5. So this 13/5, the same thing as 2 and 3/5. Okay, so if that makes sense to you, let's go ahead and do one for you. You please do 14 times 1/6. sixth. Go ahead and do that and see what you get. We'll be back in a sec with the answer. Okay, so you've had some time to work on this one. Let's go ahead and do it together. This 14, I'm going to make that 14 over 1, multiply by 1/6. 14 on the top, 6 on the bottom. You can leave the answer if you like. If you want to simplify it, that would be 6 is going to go in there one group and two groups. 6 will be 6, and then 12, that would be 2. So I'm going to say that's going to be 2. That'd be 12, because 6 plus 6 would be 12. And I'd have 14 take away the 12 would be 2/6. What I did there, I used my break apart method by going like this. I went 6 sixths plus another 6 sixths plus my 2 sixths. That's 1. That's another 1. So that's where my 2 came from. My 2 is the 1 and 1. And my 2/6 is what's left over. Can't make another group. So I have 2 and 2/6. So this answer here and this answer here are both perfectly acceptable. We'll do one more as a practice, and I'll give you some more practice problems to do on your own. All right, so this is our last one together, and then you'll have some work on your own. Here we have 7 times 2/3 now. We'll do the same way. We're going to do 7 over 1 times 2 over 3. Multiplying sideways, we have 7 times 2, that's 14. And 1 times 3 is 3. We can leave that if we want to. There's nothing wrong with that. The answer is perfectly acceptable like that. But if you want to simplify that, we're going to pretty much divide how many times will this 3 go into that 14. So 1 time, yes. 2 times, yeah, that'd be 6. 3 times would be 9. 4 times would be 12. And 5 times would be 15. So I can't go 5 times, but I can go 4. Because 4 times 3 would be 12. I have the 14. I take away those 12 I already used to make that. That would be 2/3. So 14/3, the same thing as 4 and 2/3. So our last one together. I'll go ahead and give you probably 5 to do on your own. I'll come back and show you the answers for all 5. All right, guys, so this is going to be your 5 problems for today. Start out with some easier problems here. This, you can see I switched the order. The fraction came first, but you're going to do the same exact math there. And then this is going to be the hardest problem there. So go ahead and pause the tape, do your work, we'll come back with the answers. Okay, so we're back. Hopefully you had no problem with that. Here we go. So this one would be 3 2s or 3 halves, which would simplify to 1 and 1/2. You don't have to simplify, you don't want to, but if you wanted to, there's the answer for simplification. Both answers are equally valid. This is just fine for 5th grade. If you want to go ahead and simplify, you can. For number 2, you had 7/3, which is equivalent to 2 and 1/3. Number 3, you would have 10 on the top, 9 on the bottom, equal to 1 and 1/9. Number 4, when I switch the order, do the same exact way. You'll get 20 on the top, 6 for the denominator. That's equivalent to 3 and 2/3. Sorry, 2/6. And that can simplify to 3 and 1/3. Because this will be divided by 2, you'll get 3 and 1/3. So this is okay, that's okay, and that's the best answer, but they're all equally valid. This is the 5th grade standard. You can simplify it if you want to. You can simplify further if you want to 3 and 1/3. And the final one, the hardest problem of all, ended up to be 48/5, and that is equivalent to 9 and 3/5. That's our math lesson for today. Hope you learned something. Hope you practiced some math. We worked on Math Standard 5 NFB4 for today. Now I'm Mr. C. And hope you had fun. See you next time.